And Commander Hoek.
Good morning, everybody. We are back for another edition of the Mattsby and Tracker Morning Show.
Yay! Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here. Always a good
Yeah,
time. Last night was a lot of fun. I was just telling Matt that I kind of part of me where I didn't want to do it. I just want to stay under the blankets and just be warm. But no, it was fun. I'm always glad when I come out for the show because it's great company with Matt and Kat
mm.
and all you guys too.
And there
Enjoying
was
hearing
just
from you.
some data just now that just dropped that is dropping the SPY about 5 points right now and dropping Tesla and dropping everything, right? So that's why I never really trusted it. And up here is closer to resistance. So this is the perfect example of why. And yeah, so I mean, it was close enough to resistance, so this kind of reaction should not be a surprise. That's why I was cautious the past few days in the morning show and even last week too, because it kept on. This is the daily chart for the SPY, and yeah, it's just basically keeps on pressing up against it, and it could not hold. So right now, looks like the SPY is going back down to the 50-day moving average right here, and that is right around 598. And we'll see. We'll see if that can help hold or if it needs to go a little bit lower. But essentially, nothing has changed day over day. It's just still stuck in a range, right? And the range is clear, right? From the 609 area down to basically even down to the 590s down here, like the lower 590s. So that is the range. And QQQ, what's the impact of that one? Well, it's going right back down to daily support too, where the 50-day moving average is at 521. The conversion line is 521.58. So yeah, it's 523 pre-market. So not a surprise getting rejected up here, going back down to support. And the IWM, it's down $4. So we can see that it is going back down to maybe even this 219 right here. So let's look at the weekly chart for IWM to see what's really going on. And yeah, it was trying to open up above all of this here, trying to hold some support here, but now it's going back to retest these lower levels of support here at 219. So yeah, it looks like everything is going back down to a support zone in the pre-market, and that's no surprise for everything. How mostly things were still stuck in a range and closer to a resistance yesterday, and things are still in that same kind of a range. So no change really week over week. It's just exactly the same. So no, regardless of any kind of news event or data point, it just doesn't really matter because it's you can just look at these charts, right? Week over week, they're in the same range between the 219 and the 226, right? That is the range for that. So, yeah, I don't really know if I care about it too much. We'll see if these support levels get breached. If that happens, then we'll have to reassess. But until then, it's just a normal reaction, in my opinion. And we can look at Tesla too. What's it going back to? Well, pre-market, it did tank a little bit down to 220s, but now it's back up to 331. So not sure if that really matters at all, right? We can see the daily chart here for Tesla, and we can see that it started to close below the cloud here and the 786. So is it going to go back down to retest this 321 before any kind of bounce, or does it want to wick below? That's still undecided. So the weekly chart here, we can see that it did go start the week above the 786, and it's getting below the baseline right now. But the most important thing is this monthly conversion line, and it's still holding right the 327.97. There's still 16 days left of the month, so it's really in a good zone. Finally, right? Finally, it back tested the conversion line after all that panic. This big down 76 points for this monthly candle, but it hit the conversion line, so it's there, right? It's in a very very nice zone. I think even if it does go lower, it has the potential to close the month back above. So there we go. Tracker.
I'd say look for this phrase in the news today, tomorrow, before the end of the week. The CPI report was already priced in. Just listen for them to say that in the legacy media because that's what I'm looking for. You know, the bad news is already priced in. Just looking at Tesla now, it's you know It bottomed out near 320. It bottomed at 320.07 this morning in the 4 a.m. market, pre-market, and it went higher, and now it's got a higher low after the CPI report's released. So the CPI report wasn't so bad that it made a new lower low. Um, I don't know. I guess we have another hour to see when the market actually opens, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna. That's what I think you're gonna hear. I think the market will start to recover from here now that the CPI report is behind us.
Yeah, if we just look at weekly indicators here for like
Yeah.
QQQ, the conversion line's still at 519, and it's still above SPY. The conversion line is at 593. It's still above. So, I mean, this is literally the range for the past 4 weeks, right? So no change at all, like regardless of anything. The only thing that looks like it might be being affected the most is some Bitcoin here, and we can see that on the daily chart, it was kind of like written too, how it started to close daily candles underneath the cloud finally, or after being these doji candles, so it couldn't get back above. So I don't really know if that's a narrative driven. I think it's more technical because when it starts to close below levels, then maybe it goes to retest a little bit deeper levels. So yeah, I mean, technically everything, including Bitcoin, is still in its little wide range. SPY, QQQ, IDBM, all of that. Even Tesla, still in that range. Yeah, between the 786 and the 702 right now. So we'll see if anything can develop, if Tesla can start building a base, if all of these can just hold their support to finish the week off stronger.
Exactly.
Do you have any charts you want to
I don't
share?
know. Like, there's a SPY chart. Yeah, let me show you my SPY chart here, which is just it's an 8-hour candlestick chart. Each of these is an 8-hour chart. I'm sorry, 8-hour candlestick, all the way from the August 5th. Carry trade right here is the bottom, which was still a higher low than Tesla than the SPY was back here in April of last year. But here we are a year later, and it's been nothing but higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. And then, yeah, it looks like it just wants to keep falling inside this triangle to, maybe 671 next overall. Okay, that is the SPY. I don't know. You guys saw us talk about Tesla last night. I don't think we need to talk about more about Tesla except to tell you that maybe today I'll show you these ultimate pivot points, and you can get this if you've got TradingView. This is one of my favorites. It's this one right here, Ultimate Pivot Points MTF for multi-time frame 3-in-1 by Mohammed 3 Non. It's free, and it puts all these pivot points on here. It brackets over around the W. That's the weekly. This longer one, I'm on the 1-hour chart, so I have to pull it way out here. Here's the monthly. This is where the month ends, and this is the monthly pivot points. So yeah, look. So yesterday we crossed monthly S2 points on there, but I think it got like to the daily S3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was daily S3 last week or yesterday. So now the pivot points are adjusted for the day, but the week and month should be the same. But yeah, we're back above the monthly S2. If by the end of the month, the tendency is usually for pivot points, price wants to go back to the center pivot. So that's what I would be looking for. The worst it could do this month, probably this S3 down to 290, but that's not what I'm looking for. Um, I think I showed you guys last night on the daily chart. Was it this chart? No. What was it? I put the weekly. Yeah, here we go. Max pain for this week was 365 when I checked it yesterday, and then max pain for next week is 355. But we'll see. We'll see what actually happens. That's all. I'm just expecting Tesla to go higher, not lower. Yeah, and then for as far as TSLL goes, it came right exactly to the monthly S2 for the pivot, and so really, by all accounts, by the end of the month, it may really want to get back up here to 2657. We'll know if it starts hitting these monthly pivots and turns it from resistance to support. All right. I think there was a question about SMCI. I think I was going to do SMCI next
Oh
year.
yeah, go ahead.
Super microcomputer. Yeah, for this one, I'm just still looking for an ABC retrace back to its prior high. Its all-time high, yep, $120.90. And so from the low that it hit at 1725, just an ABC retrace. I looked back over here and I said, this looks like kind of where it wants to go. So I'm pitting it for the 70.2% retrace. And so far, what do we have? We've got off the bottom, it got to the 23.6, 42.18 right here. Its resistance, if and when it can turn that resistance into support, it can then go on to actually make this A level here. I'll just pull this across like that. So it's trying to get to 57.61. It just has to make it past this first boss of 42.18, which will then become support when it wants to go bounce from that higher to the 91.42 that I've got targeted up here. And there you have it, super microcomputer.
Yeah, I can show mine real quick for SMCI.
Sure.
Here we go. So SMCI, I do have this baseline here as my focal point. That's at 40.17, and it is pre-market 43.32. So it is above it currently, but we'll see if it can maintain that throughout the week. So that is always the focus for me. If price can ultimately just get back and stay above all these indicators, then I think that'll be a good a level to watch. And then right above that, we do have the 100-week moving average, and that is at 44.92. So even if it does close above the baseline, it's not really looking like clear skies ahead just yet. So it's a good start though, and the minimum criteria is being met for me for being more and more bullish again on SMCI, and that's staying above my arc and the conversion line down here. So I think as long as it continues to do that, then I think it has the potential to build this base back on top of this arc again in this zone and eventually press higher and higher. So yeah, that's basically all I care about. Now that's getting closer to resistance. Do people want to buy it up here? Maybe, but I don't, because that is something that could get rejected easily and go back and retest support. But any back test, then perhaps that could be the opportunity for that. So we'll see. We'll see what really happens with SMCI, but it's a good development. Good development, meeting my minimum criteria for trying to be more and more bullish. So good job, SMCI.
Yay. I've got one more thing to show you with SMCI, sort of as a teaching moment
Yeah.
for you guys. You know, I draw these triangles all the time. Thanks, Matt. So look, this is a good place to look at SMCI and any of your charts really that seem to be doing this kind of activity. You can see the tweezer top it had right up here. So here's you just take these 4 points, you draw a triangle, and you've got a falling resistance trend line and a rising support trend line. And if it can't just break out of this trend or make a new trend, then eventually it's going to go back to support. It'll ping pong around for a while in here before it then does break out. And anytime you see something like this, if it's going sideways for a really long time, and you can kind of see that the tendency is for the chart to want to go up higher, then you can pretty much count on this the triangle breaking to the upside. Um, that's all I can say about that. But just track this. You'll know that things are getting important or exciting when they start to break out of here. I mean, I suppose technically I could put this to here and say that right now it did just barely break out of the trend line. But if it goes back down farther, I'll simply move this point up to here, and I'll watch for this as the resistance trend line when price comes back up next. But yeah, like Matt said, I mean, if it doesn't break out soon, it could just do this and then break out.
Yeah.
All right, so there.
Very, very good.
That's
Let's see. I do have a Celsius Holdings, so a sell H chart here,
okay.
and here it is. So it got back to the $24 level, 24.47, and that was the 2007 high, right? So it did break below it, and because of that, it's also the blue level of the GAN. I wanted that to hold, right? I wanted that level to hold, but now it's not. So we're gonna have to resort to the monthly indicators here and look at what's below. So if it has any chance of staying, trying to recover, it's got to stay basically in the cloud here around $21. Maybe even get a liquidity wick down to the 19 here. I think that's fine to do that. But if it starts to go lower than this and flip everything to resistance, then I think it's got no hope left, right? It might just slowly but surely go down to the abyss, to the 11s or 12s. So it's not done yet because this is the monthly cloud, and the monthly cloud is usually kind of good support. It hasn't really touched the bottom of that cloud. And the last time it was there, it held a support too. So the trend has been bottom of the monthly cloud is support, and that was the last time back in March of 2020, and it held. So there we go. I mean, we can maybe use that as a guide. So if the risk reward actually gets better and better the closer it gets to $21. So I think just if you want to take a chance, the $21 is the target for Celsius Holdings, and if that ever breaks, then watch out below.
I pulled up my Bitfarms chart here. I'm just kind of playing around with the retracement. This 391. So I tried my hand at a Gann chart here, and okay, so just kind of going back over it. I started the Gann here at this low of 37 cents, and this looked bullish. Here's a 1-2 or an AB, and this looked good. A higher high, higher low. Ooh, a much higher high, and then still a higher low. This looked really good. And I probably should have just made this my 1-2, maybe 1-2. And looks like 5 ways up because obviously what's happened is, uh, yeah, this is 5 ways up and then ABC retrace. And I thought this was done, and I made this the large degree one and large degree two, and it looked pretty good when it went up to 327, and it was still okay when it came down to $1.69. But then when it failed to make a higher high and then fell below these are weekly candlesticks, this weekly moving average 75, and it lost basically this Gann angle right here. And not only that, it made a new lower low, lower than where I thought that was the ABC down. So unfortunately, now I got to move this out to here, 131, which lowers all of my Fibonacci extension targets. It's still bullish, but just not as nice as it was when I thought that was the low. Still, we have a higher high, higher low, so it's still overall a bullish chart. It's just really ranging. That's like a megaphone pattern almost in a way, but they're angled up. So not really megaphone, but it's really wide ranging. So I don't know. Yeah, Bitfarms. If it gets, let's see. Let me change this to my 764. So skip to the end. If it does a 764 pattern, it could go to 972 now. Originally I had 1123. Now I'm going to have to make this 972. And then that means, but the first hurdle is to get over this 382 at 266, flip it to support so it can go on to the 764. It's got a long way to go. Long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Maybe it might
but
fall.
you can see
There's
there's a trend with Bitfarms that every time it kind of gets to a major support, there's like a monster bullish engulfing candle that appears out of nowhere. So I started accumulating this I just started accumulating this just because I like that pattern. So I'm just holding on for the ride, and just waiting for it to see if it can take off.
monster,
Yeah.
monster,
I think it's due. I think it's
monster,
due
another
in the next
monster,
few months or so. So
monster. Yeah.
yeah.
If it does go to the 764, it could be this monster move right
Yeah.
there,
So I think
which
I
would
like this chart
be
actually, even though it's not as bullish as some of the other miners, but I like the potential here. So I'm just taking the chance. Sometimes you just got to take that chance.
206% higher. 206% higher if it goes to the 401, $4.01. Or if it is a 618 instead, it's still 165% higher.
Yeah.
All right, Bitfarms done.
All right. I see a request for MSTR CLSK, but I see one for TSM. We haven't really done that in a while, so I'll jump on TSM.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to point out, still, it's getting kind of stuck under this 1.414 fib extension. The 209.77. It's still your resistance, guys. It's been resistance really since October of 2024, with a little bit of like a liquidity grab up top here, and then it got rejected, and now it's just battling that, right? Battle, battle, battle. So if it can't get above 209.77, then guess what? Then perhaps it needs to come back and retest the lower levels, maybe in the 190s or even 180s. So that is a little bit of caution for me for Taiwan Semi, because it's been spending a lot of time here. Then you even have the arc up here that it can't get above. So even if it does get above that, it might not even break out just yet. So I'm cautious at resistance, but if it goes back down to the 190s, 180s, I'll be more and more bullish for TSM.
Yeah. What a lovely V-shaped recovery candle it had there
Yeah,
last
August.
what, October or
Yeah,
August? Yeah.
boom, V-shaped recovery.
Oh, that would be the
That
August
would
5th
be the
carry trade.
panic.
It just
Yeah,
knocked it down and recovered
yeah.
right back. All right. So yeah, look for panic as
Panic is
opportunity.
opportunity.
Hint, hint. Tesla.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people commenting on Bitcoin real quick about needs to test 91 or something's invalidated, but I'll just show my Bitcoin 4 hour chart for you guys just to show you that this is just range bound, right? This is since November, it was resistance, flip to support, 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 support. And what is that blue line? That blue line is 93.3, right? 93.3. And guess what it's doing? It's going to be in a wedge pretty soon. So, yeah, sure, it goes down to 93. That's fine. But it's probably just going to stay in here for some time, maybe. And that intersection is what, February 24th, 25th. So we're probably not looking for any kind of excitement until later February or even into March, right? Or sometimes it does get in that wedge and it breaks down one more time and then it finally breaks out. So I think, yeah, we're looking at more time. That's it. Range bound. Literally range bound, got rejected by the arcs up here, flipped the bottom arc back to a resistance. So it's just range bound. It doesn't need to do anything except stay in the range. And if it goes back down to 93, that's normal. If it gets the liquidity below in like the 91, that's also normal. So yeah, it is possible to retest that 91, but I think the focus is here that nothing is breaking down. The nothing is breaking down at all. It's just still in the same range. So with that said, tracker.
And sometimes that vertical GAN line actually becomes some weird magical catalyst
Yeah.
for stuff too. So
Yeah.
cross that first. I like what Logains wrote here. Logain says, kind of weeks where you log in to buy what you want and then just do other things until euphoria starts to rise and FUD
Yeah.
dies. Yeah, that's exactly. Just kind of be like Mattsby. He's so calm, relaxed. He only gets excited when things go red. It's like, oh, this
Well,
thing
yeah, I
is
mean,
delicious.
it's just
I buy
different
like
trading
that.
styles. Like people get angry on my X posts all the time, like, "Oh, your supports are so wide." I'm like, "Well, that's because it's accumulation for me, and I'm not a day trader, right? If I was trading like
Yeah.
a real blonde broker, then yeah, that'd be a lot different story. But I'm not, because I think that strategy is good if you can do it, but it's super stressful for me at least. So the uh, the zones are the most important, and the structure is the most important, and the cycles are most important. And I think for a lot of things, the cycles are still just beginning. For example, like Tesla.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got RX Recursion Pharmaceuticals on tap here. And this is one, again, I'm just looking for it to retrace to this all time high. I'm wondering why this is missing by a penny or so. There you go. 4281 was the high, all time high for RXRX. These are weekly candlesticks, so this is like way back in 2021. Since then, it kind of bottomed out, had a try to go a little higher, made a new lower below, and then now it's been building a base, and it's still in this base, and even the base is building a base right here under this moving average 75 on the weekly chart. And I think it really does want to do an ABC retrace. And looking back, this 618 level at 2819 seemed, significant enough to do some testing back here. So I think that's where it really wants to bounce back to. So 382, 236, 618, 1916 is my next target. And of course, it's got to fight the first boss here, the 23.6 first, and turn this from resistance into support. And you can kind of see right here where it kind of wants to maybe gravitate to. This is exactly where it would cross that point on this triangle. I drew another triangle following the slope, and the resistance, the down slope resistance trend meets 1357 right here on May 19th, or the week of May 19th, I should say. So there you go, RXRX. I think this is a fine place to keep accumulating it. Just don't be looking forward to do anything super exciting right away. It looks like it could go sideways for a little while longer. So
All right.
what is ATKR? All right, I'm gonna work on this one. You can
Yeah, I'll
do another
do
one, Matt, while I
MicroStrategy
build a chart for
since
this.
I saw that request. We do it all the time.
Yes.
Is there a change? Not really. So MSTR from yesterday, it's around the same area, right? And what I'm really watching for MicroStrategy is this monthly conversion line there at 322. And I want to see if it can actually close the month back above it again for the second month in a row. So during this month, can it go back down to the 300s or a little bit lower? I'm sure it could. It all depends on Bitcoin, but essentially 322.70 is the focus for MicroStrategy. Just keep staying above that monthly conversion line, and I think it'll have the power eventually to break above the 340 and above. So this is looking like a just a longer consolidation, right? And it never even went back down to the baseline. So I'm not sure if that really needs to at this point, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And this happens to be just a ranging stock as well between the 340s and the 300s. You can see month over month over month, it's basically been in the same range. So, with that said, we're not really going to do much with it until it can actually break above 340 and stay above. So that's going to be basically your line in the sand to become more and more bullish, closing weeks above it, closing monthly candles above it, and then that'll be more and more bullish.
You could do another one. This chart's tough.
All right,
I'm still working
CLSK.
on it.
So CLSK, yeah, I'm looking at the monthly chart too with the 50-month moving average. It's kind of getting rejected right there, and that's at 1047. But it's still holding essentially this angle on the weekly chart. We can see that angle is there, and every time since September, every single time it gets in that zone of the angle, even with some liquidity below, it's an opportunity, and it's back there again. So I don't think I think the closer it gets to all of this stuff here, the better your risk reward. And you got the 100-week moving average there at exactly 1009. Price pre-market is 1009. Last week it went to the 200-week moving average. That's 951. So yeah, it could do that again. But this risk reward gets better and better the lower it goes. Like, I don't really see any reason to panic on this one because I can see this thing holding this angle as support. And even in the past here, let's go back in the past, you can see right here, it was a major resistance too for many weeks before it kind of broke out. So this is an important zone, right? And I don't think people need to be afraid around this area. I think this is opportunities, but usually when it's around this area, most people get scared and they don't want to buy because it's too scary. But this is the opportunity, in my opinion. And in the past weeks, like when it was lower down here, I was a buyer, right, in the nines. When I was down here, I was a buyer as well in the eights. So yeah, it's just basically you have to understand the risk reward, and right now it is in your favor.
All right, I do have this ATKOR at core incorporated chart built. I had to do it on log scale. Excuse me. And so I basically just went from this all-time low of $10.85 to this $33.34, and then back to $20.42, but in log scale chart, log scale fibs, and it basically got its 5 waves up already. Here's the 3, 4, 5, and this one went to 200. Oh, I can't see because the high. It went to 200% right here, and so now, excuse me, 1 second. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat. Um, I think it's going to do an ABC retrace right now, and it's already come down to the 382. So this is a if it went all the way back to its all-time low, that's a 100% retrace. But usually, what these do is they do 382, 236, 618, and yeah, 618 looks pretty significant right there. 382 right there. So yeah, it's already hit the 382. So there's a good chance it's going to want to try to come back to 98.61 next. But then it's likely to fall over again and come all the way down here to 32.71. So just look out for that. This might not be. This is sort of an up. I would say this is going to be a short term. Well, short term, a, kind of a the rest of the year long bear trend, likely. Now, I would be wrong if it makes a new higher high than 98.61. If it does that, come back to me and we'll talk about making this the wave one, wave two, and see what it would want to build up higher from there. And you can see from the MCDX Plus, it's all retail. It's just fallen to the retail vultures ever since May of 2024.
Yeah,
There you go, Atcore.
very good. I see one for Intel here. I'm gonna do that. So this is exactly what I was talking about with CLSK, right? Every time I got back down to the green level of my GAN, it was the risk reward is in your favor, and that was no exception. Basically, last week it was a little doji candle that closed right on it, around $19. So that is kind of the opportunity you wanted to take. But now that it's up towards the baseline, I don't like it up there, right? I think that is 22.47. It's got to really start to push and close above that to get above that. But even still, this really high time frame support here back in 2022, 22, it flipped to a resistance back in November of 2024. So even if it does start to close above that, that's a big zone to get above, like 24.50, 24.60, that area, even like some wicks above into the 25s. It's going to be a challenge to get above that. So the closer it gets here, the risk reward is no longer in your favor. And I think it's just in a range, right? It's just in a range where if you want to trade it, yeah, you can buy 19s, right? That was history has proven that 19s are good. Even all the way back into 1997, the 19s were good, right? So this stock has done nothing for decades, and this is it going to break out? Probably not, right? It's probably not going to break out, but it has potential to go a little bit higher. But if you're looking for taking a chance, it was at 19 because it was spending support there over and over and over again. And see, this is why you got to look at the risk reward, and if it's in your favor, then that's when you take a chance. But if not, then it's getting more and more risky. So this is at current price, this is a no for me.
Well, I'm taking a stab at the TLT here. I'm trying out with a Gann chart even. I don't think I've got quite the right base here, but it kind of TLT's a mess, right? After hitting all-time highs in March of 2019, it's really taken a hit. It's come back to it's done the Disney thing where now it's just the same price, the same rates it was decades ago. Um, if I did a ABC retrace here for it on the way back up, so 61.8% is, and it kind of matches up with this Gann horizontal line right here like this. Yeah, 142.50 for the 618 retrace. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a journey. I guess if you could do this Gann chart yourself, I started it on this low of 80.51 back here on May 10th, and pulled it out to about. I can't tell from there. Let's see, 1698. I should have done this before I brought this back.
Yeah, I can just show mine if you want to fix that real quick for TLT.
Oh yeah, please show yours.
Yeah, so TLT, I drew a black line here because this is kind of the zone where it was back in 2024 in April. Right here, it was a low. So perhaps it is trying to just double tap that, retest it in that zone. It is down there below at pre-market, but we'll see how it closes the week out. So is this something that has potential to get a little bit more bullish? I think a little bit, right? Because it did open the week finally back on top of this conversion line again on the weekly chart, and it could just be getting some liquidity underneath right now. So I think could it be a new bottom, a bottoming territory? It possibly, right? It's not making a lower low here in January, so we can watch that for confirmation. If it goes lower than this 84, 89, then I think it's going to continue the downtrend. But in the meantime, it might be just fine trying to retest a previous support back in April of 2022 currently. So let's just continue to watch this 87.34 level to see if it actually can close the week above that.
Oh my God, Logan says Pep just needs to buy CELH, get rid of the CEO, and hire me. Hire Tracker. That's so funny. Oh man, I think I would drink way too much. I drink too much of that Celsius stuff.
Yeah, I actually I used to like it a lot, but now I'm all about different
Let's,
energy drinks. It makes me all tingly and stuff. That Celsius stuff.
oh yeah. Here's my Kalidi chart. Dan Corral's asking for Kalidi. I've been buying more of it. Let's see. I sold some up here, and am looking to acquire more. As it because they're fighting cancer. They've got a great. Um, uh, it's a viral anti-cancer treatment that with three fabulous ways of delivering it to people, and the pictures look great in their slide deck of how well they've taken care of these tumors with these viral therapies. Whoops. Anyway, yeah, I was tracking this triangle. It seems to be either breaking out of the triangle or maybe it's time to just move it along a little bit more. We'll see. Probably what I'll do is I'll leave it like this. It's not very strong. Now I'll just pull it out sideways. Let's see if it. I've got a buy order for like $1.11 for some more shares of like another 1,000 shares, I think. So I just was musing if we could come down and touch this triangle bottom one more time. Maybe dip, maybe like do like a dial M for murder, or just kind of drops down a little bit low. Buy that and then watch it take off. But right now it's below the moving average. This is a 1 hour chart. Let's pull back a little bit. Let's take a bigger picture. Yeah. Oh well. The really big picture is that if it were to do an ABC retrace back towards its all-time high, which is way up here, that's $85, which is it's just a crazy. Well, it's 85x, right? Almost. Well, anyway, it's 5,781% higher than the price is now. So if they pull this out of the fire and really pull off a cure, like I said, the company would probably get acquired before it crossed $33. But maybe look at some bids in the $10. Anyway, I like it. Either they'll cure cancer with a lot of types of really difficult to cure cancers with their treatment, and they'll do really well, or somebody will just buy them out, and you'll do really well if you're holding shares when they get that buyout offer secured.
All right.
Yeah, 677 is what I'm looking for next.
And with that said, I think I gotta run away now.
Oh yeah, it's 908. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good.
And don't forget, next week is a short week. There's no trade. Markets are closed in the U.S. on Monday.
What's going on Monday, Tracker?
Right. It's like, I don't know, President's
Oh,
Day
yeah,
or
that's
something. No, we already had President's Day.
I don't even know.
What is it called? I don't even know either. It's just another holiday.
Fair enough.
Federal holiday.
All right.
All right.
See
Talk to you
guys
guys later. I'll put it in the chat or in the. I'll post
All
it.
right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
bye.